Hello, Mustangs. Here we go with an installment of multiplying radicals and distance learning for friends with junior high. So I'm Coach McKeever. I'm going to be walking you through some examples today to hopefully help you out with how to multiply radicals. Now, let me first of all say there's lots of different ways to multiply radicals. So if you go on to Khan Academy or if you go on to different sites and looking for help and ways to do it, you'll find a lot of different ways. We thought it'd be good to make our own video to show you the way we would like you to do it. All right. And even the way I do it might be slightly different than the way, let's say your parents or another person might give you advice on how to do it. So this is just one way. We think it's the best way. So we thought we'd make a flip video on basically how to solve multiply radicals. Now, I will encourage you to watch the entire video all the way through because there's going to be some random questions put out there. And if you email us back the answer to those 3 random questions, we'll give you bonus points. All right, so make sure you're paying attention and let's get started. All right, multiplying radicals. Our first example is radical 5 times radical 10. Now, I want you to first note that you cannot simplify radical 5, nor can you simplify radical 10. They're already kind of like in lowest terms, if you will. These are in lowest terms. So what we simply do is multiply them like you're probably thinking. 5 and 10, that's going to be radical 50. Okay, so we take radical 5 times radical 10, and that's radical 50. There you go. Now, you wish that was all you had to do. Yeah, wouldn't it be that easy? One thing you have to do now is you have to simplify it. You have to put it like in lowest terms, if you will. You have to break it down. All right, so now, what can we do to radical 50? Well, we have to think of a perfect square that we can multiply by another number that will give us 50. Okay, so a perfect square that we can multiply by another number to give us 50. And that perfect square is 25. So radical 25 times, and then you're going to have 2. So 25 times radical 25 times radical 2 is radical 50. Well, then we break that radical 25, if you take the square root of that, is going to simply be 5. So the final answer is 5 radical 2. That would be your answer in lowest form, if you will. One thing you can do is take this thing and you can check it. All right. I encourage you, if you have a calculator, to check it. Not do it, but check it. You take radical 50, put in your calculator, you'll get an answer. Take radical 5 radical 2, and you put that in your calculator, you'll get the same answer. So there's some encouragement for you to use your calculator as checking. All right, our next example gets a little bit tougher. But before that, let me ask you this. Who is Fred Flintstone's neighbor? That's right. Who is Fred Flintstone's neighbor? All right. So our next example, slightly different. We have numbers on the outside as well as we have 15 and 5 underneath the radical. All right. So at this point, what we want to do again is can I lower this? Can I make this in the simplest form? Or is 15 as low as it can go? I mean, is there any way I can break this down, or the 5? And the answer to that is, unfortunately, no. So then what you do is you have to multiply the things that are kind of alike, if you will. We're going to take our 3 times 2, right? And then we're also going to take radical 15 times radical 5, all right? So we're kind of breaking it apart, if you will, all right? 3 times 2, that's easy enough, 6, all right? And radical 15 times radical 5 is probably what most of you are thinking, is radical 75. Now, at this point, you would love to stop and that's it, you're done. But radical 75 can be broken down. It can be simplified, if you will. All right, so what do you have to do? You have to simplify it. All right, you have to think of a perfect square that you can multiply by another number that will give you 75. So you might start going through your perfect squares. Let's see, half of 75 is approximately 37. So you might say, ooh, 36. Will that work? No. Oh, but 25 does. That's a perfect square, and 25 goes into 75 perfectly. So that's good. So we're going to have radical 25 times radical 3. And that's what this is going to look like. But don't forget about our 6. And then at this point, do the work. Radical 25 is 5. So 6 times 5, well, that's going to end up being 30. And our radical 3, again, just comes down. So again, I would encourage you to use your calculator to check this. You might just type this in, get an answer. Type this in, get the same answer. Type this in, which is ultimately what we're trying to get to for your answer, the final answer. All right? All right, on to our third and final example. All right, our third and final example for today. All right, now let me ask you this. I got another question for you. On the Andy Griffith Show, which, by the way, if you get a chance, watch the Andy Griffith Show. Great television. It's in black and white. It's this old television show. Great TV. All right. Give that a try. But tell me who the deputy is in the Andy Griffith Show. All right. Who is the deputy in the Andy Griffith Show? Now, as you can see on this one, I left a little bit more room. And again, I wrote it in pen because I'm going to need some more room to work on this one. So just to let you know. All right. I'll try to zoom in a little bit. There you go. Now, with that said, we have -6 radical 8 times 11 radical 6, right? Now, the first thing I like to do is see is there a way I could break this down first? Is there a way I can simplify it first? And the answer to that is yes. Radical 8. Radical 8, you can take radical 4 times radical 2, which will give you radical 8. And then, of course, the square root of 4, or radical 4, is 2. So radical 8 can be rewritten as 2 radical 2. But don't forget about our -6. We have to multiply that. So this all can be rewritten as -12 radical 2. So what I did first is rewrite -6 radical 8 and rewrite it as -12 radical 2. This over here can't break down to 6 at all. It's already simplified, so I just kind of bring it down. And I start from here. Now, again, I'm going to multiply the things that are outside together. So we have -12 times 11. And the things that are inside. So radical 2 times radical 6. All right. Over here, that's going to be -132. This is going to be radical 12. And wouldn't we love to stop there? Yes, I would. But you can't. You got to simplify it. You got to go lower. All right. This radical 12 can be broken down to radical 4, radical 3. All right. And then the -132, again, it's just kind of just waiting out here. And then radical 4 is 2, radical 3. And then the -132. And ultimately, when you get done, you have to take -132 times 2, which is -264 radical 3. And that's our final example for today. Good luck on doing this. It's a little tough, but I know you guys can do it. I think you guys are doing great so far. Again, answer those 3 questions. All right. Make sure you answer those and send those to your teacher, Miss Liverman, Miss Peel, Miss Grice, or myself, and get those bonus points. So the third and final question. All right. Who is that stupid, annoying dinosaur that entertained you guys when you were a kid? All right. What was his name? And I'll give you a hint. He used to sing this song all the time. I love you, you love me. We're one big happy, I don't know, family or something like that. Anyway, I can't sing that. So if you would, email those results to your teachers and keep up with your work. Have a good Mustang day.